How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And yes, it's Fun Friday here on the show. What does that mean? I don't know. You think I got a plan? We got a lot of news to get into here today. And then after we get into the news, it'll be time for fun. We'll take your feedback. We'll open up those phone lines. That's always a lot of fun. And basically talk about anything that is on your mind. We got AEW news. We got WWE news. We got upcoming shows. We got a couple of ratings notes and more. And then, as noted, your feedback. It's always fun to participate in a live radio show, isn't it? If you'd like to, you can send us a text message. The phone number for text messages is 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. If you want to send an email, f4wonline@gmail.com. That is f4wonline@gmail.com. I'm also F4W Online, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. Got a bunch of cameos I got to do today. If you'd like to jump into the pile, Valentine's Day is coming. What would be better for a cameo? It's F4W Online on Cameo. They're only $25, a steal at this point. At Bryan Alvarez on X and Blue Sky. So, send your text messages and emails now. And later on, as noted, we will open up the phone line and the famous international web browser line. So that's the plan. Mike Sempervive joins us as always today, as well as all of you blokes. And we'll get into all of the news when we come back from the break. So stick around, everybody. Back in a moment. Wrestling Observer Live.
No fish could swim this far upshore.
Yeah.
Shoulders ran like the wind, but he could find no peace.
Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I always love when it's Fun Friday, but we have to start with a story that's no fun.
Oh.
Then we'll try and get into the fun. Asuka still dealing with a concerning situation involving inappropriate fan behavior. January 29th, she sent out a series of messages on social media saying she's been feeling in danger recently, has contacted police about the situation. It involves romantic advances made toward her. She tweeted, "Please don't have romantic feelings for me. It's meaningless, 100% pointless." Followed up a couple of days later, saying WWE and TKO were taking action to protect her. Which, by the way, there is an agency that is working on this. I don't know which one, so I don't want to say like the FBI or whatever. It could be. But there's definitely work being done. She posted another tweet overnight saying the advances were still happening. There are still people who have romantic feelings for me and are making advances, she wrote. Please stop immediately. She called the situation really troubling, reiterated they are pointless, and that's that. So, I don't know. I have nothing to add. I don't know why people do what they do, but there's obviously some issues going on, and hopefully these issues are remedied quickly.
Yeah, not much to add to that other than just leave talent alone. You know, obviously this is an extreme situation, but even if you think you're doing something innocently at an airport or somewhere out in the public that is not an official meet and greet space, all you're doing is getting in these people's face, and it's just, I'll never really understand that anyway, and then having it taken to this extreme, I hope whichever initialized agency is checking it out can take care of this.
Keep in mind what happened with Sonya Deville.
Yeah.
So this is not something to mess around with. I can tell you that. All right, I'm looking at something here, because I should have looked at this before, but I didn't
Please say it's fun.
think about it at the time. I don't know if you'd consider it fun.
Okay.
But anyway, so there's a video up on YouTube, video.f4wonline.com. I tweeted it today. Now, keep in mind, I don't title these videos, so if you're angry about the title, don't get mad at me about that. If you like the title, maybe you can put me over, but again, I didn't title it. But I'll read you the title. It sounds maybe a little more dramatic than it is, but who knows. People that made excuses for WWE and TNA booking are now doing it for AEW. Now,
I don't remember saying that. Is this your video, Brian?
yes, it was all me. Last night on the Bryan and Vinny show. Now, I bring it up because it sounds pretty negative, okay? But here's and I'm not blaming Brian Rhodes. He does a great job. Don't throw that guy under the bus, lasting.
Now Peach on the other side.
Peach, I'll throw under the bus, sure. But listen. I went off for a while, 7 straight minutes or whatever, at the beginning of last night's Bryan and Vinny show. Mostly because there was a match. I didn't think it was the right booking. And man, oh man, it's still going on our board, the arguments about this match here. And I explained why I thought it was a bad idea. And then everyone comes out of not everyone, some people come out of the woodwork defending. And it really struck me that, like, it's a big full circle of life. Same thing happened, when WCW was going down. Same excuses. And then, I heard the same excuses when TNA was having problems. And it was only a few years after WCW. You'd think people would, no, same thing. Heard the same excuses when WWE sucked. Hearing the same excuses now. Now, I do want to make something clear. I do not think the Dynamite booking is like what we saw in WCW. It is much better than WCW booking. It is much better than that TNA booking under Vince Russo. It is much better than when Vince was just completely out to lunch, 2017, 2018 through the end. I mean, whatever you want to say about AEW, the booking is way better than those periods, okay? It is. I'm sorry. It's way better. Now,
It is.
Now, there are things about the booking that I disagree with, okay? But I want to make it clear that one of the big differences is, and one of the things that irritates me, is these are not big problems. There are a lot of little problems that add up to a big problem, okay? But each of those individual problems, they're not a big problem in the sense that, you could just stop doing this. And in a matter of, I don't know how long, certainly not 2 weeks like some people think. But as we saw really with Triple H and WWE is, if you stop doing those stupid things that Vince did, like they turned it around in under 2 years. I mean, they turned it around fast. It wasn't like it needed a decade to fix Vince's 2018, 2019 booking. You just had to make a lot of little changes, and they added up to big success. And, the thing with this was like, well, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Everything matters. It all matters, okay? Yes, if you make a change, it might not have any effect on next week's show or the week after, but you make these little changes over time, and over time they add up to big changes. Yeah, I said, you know what? This place needs more recaps, and they've started doing more recaps. Well, now people are like, well, they did more recaps, nothing has changed. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. What do you want here? Like, you got to make these small changes over a long period of time for things to be better, okay? So, the reason I bring this up now is because there's another thing that I saw today that it just happens over and over again, and they keep doing it, and it irritates me. And at the end of the day, it wouldn't be hard to stop doing it, but they keep doing it, and that is the Dynamite Overrun. I've been complaining about this and complaining about this and complaining about this. And we saw it again this week. The Dynamite Overrun was the least watched thing on the show. It was the least watched in terms of viewership. It was the least watched in terms of 18 to 49. It was the least watched thing on the show. And it is not unusual for this to happen. And part of the reason is they often go to commercial exactly at the top of the hour. And then, it's just it's done. And I just went over the NXT ratings yesterday. The NXT rating is up year over year at 18 to 49 and in viewership. And you know what? They don't have an overrun. And SmackDown does not have an overrun. And Raw, I mean, it's on Netflix, but even Raw, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes every week. They don't even go 2:36 when they could. It's just a 2 hour and 30-minute show. I know that during the Monday Night Wars, people enjoyed the overruns. The overruns often did very, very well. But it is 2025. The overrun hurts the show. Swerve versus Ricochet, which I really liked, ended up being the least watched thing on the show because it had an overrun that people didn't watch. I've said it countless times. People don't listen. The overrun gets cut off on YouTube TV. People don't see it. Yet every week at 10 o'clock, he's on the phone and he's getting extra time from TBS and TNT at the last minute. I don't understand why. It could be remedied like this next week. It's just there are no more overruns. We're going to end at the top of the hour. Time the show out correctly. If your thing goes long, you're going to get punched. I don't care what you have to do. You can end on time. Collision does. Well, actually, Collision doesn't. They do the overrun too. But sometimes you can look at things, and in theory, yes, you're going to pick up viewers from the next. That's all great in theory. Or we can look at reality, and the reality is, it was the least watched thing on the show. It's not the only time. Sometimes Dave will defend it and say, well, it wasn't. It went up. He's talking about 18 to 49. But in fact, they lost a bunch of viewers during that period. It loses viewers almost all the time. So why do we do it? I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to get into fun after the break. Observer Live.
So this was the longest I've been away from you guys and the fans since I started in 2012. And I got into this business because of my little brother. And when my knee injury happened in December and it took me out, I just kept thinking, like, I can't go out this way. And then it made me realize how far I've come, and I was doing it because of him. And then seeing all the fans keeping up with all of my injury updates throughout the year with rehab, and like, we miss you, Charlotte, we love you, Charlotte. And like, as a performer, sometimes you do feel like, do I still got it? What am I coming back to do? I've done it all. And coming back tonight and winning the Rumble 2 times, it's like, no, I'm coming back to do it all over again. That's how hungry I am. I think the hardest part for me was I've always relied on my athleticism to carry me. And I've been an athlete my entire life, and I've never been injured, even though I know I hear you guys are like, oh, she's been, hit or miss for 2 years. You guys, I have been on the road since 2012 and have been a champion every single year for 9 years. I took 1 year off. Give me a break, okay? Because you're gonna get tired of me, because I'm coming for all the gold. For me, it was just like, what if I can't come back the Charlotte that everyone expects? And that really was hard on me. So to me, the rehab and getting back in the ring, was it like second guessing myself, okay, now I'm like scared to get injured because I've never been injured. And that was a hurdle that I had to overcome, because I'm like waiting for the shoe to drop, because that really did. The night that I got hurt with Asuka, there was 8,000 soldiers in the audience. And when I first dinged my knee, I was like, well, I can't stop the match. These people give their lives for me, and they're here for a show. And I just kept going, and then I fell on the top rope on my neck. And then here, we come back live because I was in break. And then next thing you know, I hit Asuka with another move, and then I'm on my face. And I just kept thinking, like, what is going on? I can't give up for these fans. And then living with that for a year, going, oh my gosh, is that going to happen to me again, was really hard. But coming out tonight and hearing my music and seeing the signs, and I just needed to get the first match under my belt. And here's the thing, I'm going to work smarter, not harder. Number 27 tonight.
All right. Just for fun, I did go through as far as I could, as quickly as I could during the break, just to find out here what we've got. And this is what I got, okay? So,
All right.
Between December 25th and January 6th, there was exactly one overrun that showed what I would call growth, okay? That was January 8th. Which, what's ironic about that? I think it was a Kenny Omega. I think it was like Kenny Omega's return. The match that Brian Cage forgot about, or Kenny forgot that he had the match with Brian Cage. Anyway, the point is, January 8th, in the last 6 weeks, is literally the only overrun that showed decent growth, okay? February 6th, the overrun was the lowest rated thing on the show. January 29th, lowest rated thing on the show. January 22nd, lowest rated thing on the show. January 15th, it gained 5,000 viewers, but was essentially tied as the lowest rated quarter on the show. January 1st, lowest rated thing on the show. December 25th, lowest rated thing. What do we have to do here? It's not good.
Well, I think one of the things I think some people need to do is stop saying it gained viewers. If you're being a little disingenuous about it, in my opinion, this week, it did gain viewers. It was up 1%. It was 198,000 people, 18 to 49. So you can say, without lying, yes, the overrun did gain viewers. The problem is you started with 278,000 viewers in that demo, and even if you're only counting from the second quarter on, it's 246,000. So if you lose 50,000 people, but then you pick up 2,000 at the end, I mean, that's an issue. And again, you can say, well, hey, it's working. It went up. It goes up. But if that's what's happening, it's really disingenuous, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people do that. They look at just that green bar on WrestleNomics and go, it was up. But then you look at the rest of the deep red, and that's the issue.
So we got Kevin Owens doing a tweet. It's still called a tweet, even though it's not Twitter. He did an X on Friday saying that his daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies.
Buy some Samoas.
And if we bought some, he vowed to keep wrestling for 4 years, 11 months, and 22 more days.
That's oddly specific.
So anyway, if you haven't figured it out yet, he's re-signed with WWE.
8 days ago, I'd assume.
Which I think we all figured was going to happen. He might have signed a 5-year, 2-month deal. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
whatever it is, it's good for him. And good for him. I like Kevin Owens. I've always liked Kevin Owens a lot. I love him. I love watching
Kevin Owens
him wrestle.
is a great wrestler and a smart guy.
Smart guy, great guy in the time. Now, granted, it's been mostly in fan type of things, but always tremendous. And they own Quebec. I mean, for as much as AEW and other promotions would love to try to get into Canada, boy, that's tough sledding with WWE, and especially in the province of Quebec. And you have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They are there at a great time right now, and look forward to seeing what they're going to do with each other at WrestleMania, if it is going to be with each other. But that's fantastic news moving forward, because even if Kevin Owens stopped today being a professional wrestler, you can slap a pair of headphones on him. There's about a zillion things that guy could do, or I would want him to do for my company, so good.
Well, it's got a CMLL Trios Showcase match. Oh, I got to talk about this, because there was some confusion. So, Dynamite this week airs Wednesday, okay? So, if you just watch the show, it airs Wednesday, okay, in the normal Dynamite time slot. However, as some of you might have noticed, when they put up the graphic for MJF versus Dustin, the date was Tuesday, is when that match is taking place. And in fact, when Dustin did his promo, he challenged MJF for next Tuesday. So there was like, what? Is the show Tuesday or Wednesday? Well, the show is both. They are taping it on Tuesday so they can head to Australia, but it is airing on Wednesday. Now, I don't think it really matters all that much, but it is an odd thing that they had a graphic for Tuesday, and they had the guy promote a match on Tuesday, but the show's actually airing on Wednesday. So, I mean, I guess they're trying to sell tickets for Tuesday if you're in the area, but there was a lot of confusion thinking that, the show's on Tuesday this coming week. It is not.
Well, they've done that with their live events. They'll show the commercial and it's, collision and everything, and it would be a day, it's not Saturday, that it's going to be on. And I just think in this case, they just didn't do a good job differentiating the two. And you had Dustin on top of it, slipping up and actually giving the date he was going to have the match on. So it's just one of those small things that they need to work out. Their graphics situation has gotten better since the beginning of the year, and that was another thing that people were on them about. It's just one of those little things you got to do and slip through the cracks this time.
All right, let's get some feedback going here. Text me, everybody. 425-780-7566 is the phone number for text messages, and I will open up the phone lines in the final segment of the show. And, hey, what do you want to talk about? WWE, AEW, Dynamite? We got big shows coming up. We got that big NXT show.
I got a question for you.
When did I not recognize Lola Vice, by the way?
That what now? How did you not recognize
No,
Lola
when did
Vice?
I not? I was accused of not recognizing Lola Vice. When?
Really?
That's what I heard this morning. Somebody was mad at me.
You know who Jada Parker is, though, right?
When did I not recognize her?
Miss Parker.
So anyway, what were you going to ask?
You going to go to that Defy show tonight? Looks pretty good.
Tonight?
Yeah.
I can't go tonight.
Oh, why not?
Well, first off, I'm freaking snowed in. Second off, I can't go tonight.
Wait a second. Are they not having the show then? There's that much snow on the ground? Are we going to have to worry about Kenta and Ricky
Well,
Starks?
you know, some people have vehicles that drive just fine in the snow. Others do not. So I am not going to a city that is renowned for how hilly it is in my car, which does not do well on icy hills. And I can't go tonight anyway, so leave me alone.
Oh, come on. Get Swerve on the blower. I'll pick you up in the big Hummer that he has. It'll be fantastic. Take the whole family with you. It'll be great.
Alrighty. Well, I see people still arguing about those max numbers. I'm going to ignore that.
Oh, well.
What is this? Can you add a ticker to the bottom right of the Twitch feed that gives us live updates on how many steps ahead the final boss is on a daily basis? How many steps ahead?
Well,
are you talking about Rock when he goes, I'm steps ahead of everybody?
Oh, I thought you were doing all the steps.
I thought I'm talking about, were they getting more steps than me?
You and Lance should have a competition, though.
How many steps ahead is getting angry that true reports of not being at Mania are being reported? Well, you know, Rock did get mad that it was reported he wouldn't be at Mania in a match, and now it looks like he's not going to be at Mania in a match. So he is many steps ahead.
Yeah.
I think he's so far he's like step past WrestleMania, and he's like talking about another Mania down the road.
Is he playing 5D chess to the people playing 4D chess while the rest of us play checkers?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but that's a good question.
And are there still Chinese checkers, or is that have they changed the name of that?
Do you remember the first time you heard your voice on the radio? Did you call into Coast to Coast as a child or something like that? And you want to know what it is as a kid?
Yeah. What?
So, I didn't know any better because I was a kid. But, like, you know, my parents listen to all these 70s music and they watch all these 60s and 70s shows. And so, like, when I was a kid, you know, I always liked the Monkees. You know the Monkees?
Yeah.
Well, we had a local radio station around here, Cube 93, that, you know, they would have the call-in line, call in and request a song or whatever, and we'll put you on the air. So I used to always call Cube 93 when I was like 8, and I would ask them to play the Monkees. And I was always so mad that my call never got on the air, and they never played the Monkees. Gee, I wonder why. But anyway, no, I never called into Art Bell.
Wow.
And
definitely didn't call into these sports talk shows.
When I was on the air, it was live, so it's hard to listen to myself on the air when the show was live. So I'm not sure I've heard my voice on the radio yet.
No, that's the big problem for people. They want to hear themselves on the radio, which is a problem for the stations they're calling into because, you know, that feedback thing. You know, please caller, turn your radios down.
The other issue is I didn't really want to hear myself on the radio.
And you know what? If you just go back and listen to either of our voices, anybody's voices when the show started, because of just our ages and technology, we all sound completely different, and you can tell the eras of what microphones and equipment that we're using over the past 20 years here. You just do that and find out.
Hey, you know what's funny about being on the radio, guys? Those of you that have never done a podcast or anything like that?
What's that?
Well, everybody remembers when they first heard a recording of their voice for the first time, and they hated it.
Yeah.
Because allegedly, like, the voice you hear in your head is different from the voice that comes across in the recording.
That was concrete.
Except when you've done it for a long time, it in fact sounds exactly the same. If I hear a recording of my voice, it sounds exactly the same as the voice that I hear in my head. So I don't know what everyone else is all on about. Maybe you just got to get used to it.
There's a lot of voices in your head that you should probably, you know, get a second opinion on.
The voice that you hear on a recording, everybody, is what you sound like. If it's a decent mic. If it's a terrible mic, it can sound a little bit different, but in general, if you're talking to a normal mic, I'm sorry, that's what everyone else hears.
Tell them about mirrors after the break.
I had a real weird mirror experience yesterday. Back in a moment, Observer Live. What'd that guy say about the Hindenburg disaster?
Yes, you sounded like the announcer at the beginning of
I
it.
did not sound like the man from the Hindenburg disaster. Takes a whole... What is this?
I don't know. What is it?
So you need an old-timey mic to sound like the guy from the Hindenburg disaster. But,
Oh, the
What is this?
humanity.
Oh, the humanity!
Look at you. Oh,
Hackman
Walter
says,
Winkelhock.
I'd love to listen to a 20-minute segment of Bryan trying to explain why mirrors flip your image left-right, but not top-bottom. Guessing he'd start with because you have two eyes. What does two eyes have to do
I don't
with
know.
it?
They change how you look,
Bro,
though. That's
the
for
mirror
sure.
flips you this way because you're looking at that way. Why would it flip you upside down? That doesn't even make any sense.
And objects in them are closer than they appear.
No, not always. Only sometimes. Should I do the entire show like this, like an old-timey radio show host?
Oh, we can see.
I do want to go to the phones because I got to hear from this person here because we have somebody from Australia on the international web browser line who wants to talk about Grand Slam Australia. So let's hear from Sam. You're on the air. What's going on from Australia? That was my fault, Sam. Yes, Sam.
Hello. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I did have a question about Grand Slam. Dave kind of talked about it on Observer Radio. Do you expect them to add dark matches or anything like that to kind of fill out the card?
I sure hope so.
At the moment,
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, all we're getting is a 2-hour show, and that's all we know about. And I think there is kind of a big feeling of kind of a disappointing, length of show. For people
Well,
that
I
are
mean, look,
traveling
you
and all
got
that
to
kind
look
of
at it this way, though. This is basically a collision, and so what you might get is some Ring of Honor matches. Would you be happy with that or no?
Not particularly.
Not
To be honest.
particularly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Sam, you obviously you don't have to be everywhere, but has there been any, from what you've seen, local promotion? And if so, what have they been doing to try to target people or get people riled up for the show?
There's nothing I've seen personally, but I am in Melbourne, not Brisbane, so I am traveling up for the show. They could be doing stuff in Brisbane, but I have not seen really a lot aside from emails and stuff that I am signed up.
How long is it going to take to get there?
Like 4 hours, I think.
Oh, wow.
In a
4
flight.
hours. 4 hours. Well, let me ask you one other question. So when they announced the show, what were you expecting as a fan?
I was expecting a pretty big card, to be honest. I thought while it was still the stadium show that they would need to stack the card to kind of sell enough tickets. Obviously, they couldn't sell a lot, which is why this has happened. But I was expecting, a big card,
All right. Well, thanks so much for calling in from Australia. Hope you have a fun time at the show. Hope we get some dark matches. But I will say that, it's true they never promoted it as a pay-per-view. They never promoted it as a Max special. They never promoted it as anything.
No, and to be fair, Grand Slam in America has been a TV event.
But at the end of the day, the fact that they booked a giant stadium, I think a lot of people, when they did that, presumed it would be a much bigger show than a 2-hour collision. So there is that. But it was never advertised as anything more than that.
No, and it's like Tony saying, hey, this was always going to be a TV event. I don't know if that's the case. Now, he's being a promoter, so, hey, the NBA presented us with this deal, and the network presented us this deal right behind All-Star Weekend, but was it originally envisioned as being that? I tend to doubt it, but, again, you got to deal with what they're dealing with and try to put their foot forward.
All right, the phone lines are full, but if they open up, you can give us a call at 618-762-3275. That is 618-762-3275, which I chose, by the way, because it sounded like one of the numbers on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. And you can also use the international web browser line, callinstudio.com/show, show/WOL. And you can call from anywhere in the universe on your browser. callinstudio.com/show/WOL. Let's go to the phones. You are on the air. Who is this and where are you calling from?
Hey, y'all. It's Brandon from Portsmouth, Virginia.
Yes.
Wanted to know, do you think that they might be waiting on Luchasaurus' health to improve to maybe bring him back to be the one who actually cost Christian the briefcase? I know they've teased it a little bit in the past, but it's been a while, and of course he's been out for a while. So I was kind of wondering, do you know if they might be doing that?
I mean, that is certainly a possibility. I have no idea what's going on with Luchasaurus. I haven't heard anything for a while. Hopefully he's doing better. I mean, he was doing better the last report I heard. But I know some people like to think there's no chance that Copeland is going to cost him the briefcase, but I still believe that's what's going on here. But I guess we shall find out. And, when you think about it, it should absolutely be a Luchasaurus. Like, the idea should be that an upcoming star is the one that prevents the star's cash-in. With Christian and Copeland, it's the exact same thing we've been talking about for weeks. That's something that puts everybody in the same position they were in before it happened. Copeland screws Christian. Copeland's in the exact same spot. Christian's in the exact same spot. We need to elevate people here. We need people to come out of feuds, come out of programs, come out of wins at a higher level than they were before. And right now, a lot of the booking is just keeping everybody in the exact same spot.
Well, in theory, with that briefcase, Christian Cage moves into a more of a main event spot, and I think you can change that very easily by having Samoa Joe be the one that takes that from him. You could do it in Los Angeles coming up, which is Joe's, his hometown, his location. Do it there, and then that way, again, Christian in that group drops back down to probably where they should be, because as great and entertaining as Christian, I think, can be, as tired as some of his material is, he's great. But he shouldn't be in the mix with Omega and Takeshita and Ospreay and Joe and those guys. I just feel that's the case. So have him drop down. Make Kip and Nick Wayne a team that is worth seeing. Get them in the mix. Do some things. But again, all the best to Luchasaurus, too, at the beginning of all of this, who knows when he's coming back.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. Who is this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, Bryan and Mike. This is Jacob from Long Island. I know I'm a month late here, but I have a prediction for you.
Oh, good.
Here's my prediction.
Okay.
John Cena will retire as a champion, and next year's Royal Rumble will be for the WWE Championship in Saudi Arabia. How about that?
Oh, no.
You know what? Man, oh man.
No.
I want to thank you very much for the call. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I will say this. Every year we do have a prediction, sometimes multiple predictions like this, where when you hear it, you're like, oh, man, that guy's winning for sure. That guy never wins. But I will say that's a great prediction and a great idea. So
it's a great business idea. As far as me personally, I don't like that idea at all to do that. But if you want to make the Royal Rumble even more over the top for Saudi Arabia, that's a great way to do it, I guess.
I mean, if you think about it, the idea of holding off that John Cena win all year, and like he fails at Mania, he fails at SummerSlam, and like he finally wins that title at like Survivor Series, and who better to give the speech than John Cena, where he just goes, I won it, I accomplished my goal, I do not need to be taking up TV time, there's so many great young wrestlers who could be fighting for this title, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up and give everybody a chance at the Royal Rumble to be the next champion. I mean, realistically, someone should beat him for the title.
Yes.
But I mean, I don't put it past them to do this idea.
No, especially if the Saudis will go, and they could very well do this, we'll give you $10 million to have the John Cena official retirement celebration and belt passing ceremony. Like, they will spend money on anything. So because of that reason, it's absolutely believable. I mean, we're at the point where the Royal Rumble is in Saudi Arabia. So anything literally can happen at this point if there's bucks involved.
And the other thing too is if you want to make a star off John Cena, it doesn't have to be beating him for the title. You could have him win at Survivor Series and then announce I'm vacating the title, but I got 3 dates left and I want to face these 3 guys. And somebody can beat John Cena in his retirement match as your big star-making moment. I mean, you can do it that way as well. It doesn't have to be beating him for the title. You can make a new star merely by beating him in his final match.
I don't know if you can, you could, and there's a lot of things, an Obafemi or something, but I think in John Cena's case, you could probably make a new star, but it'll probably be galvanizing somebody else's, whether that be a Punk or a Drew or something like that. I mean, when you look at the scenario and like Carmelo Hayes right now, I don't think could have beat a John Cena, and there's no way you could talk people into believing it. So if they do decide to go that route, I will be very interested to see who's actually able to crack through into the incredible group they have now.
All right, let's go to the phones. You are on the air. Who is this and where are you calling from?
This is Michael from Rochester. Thank you, Brian and Mike, for taking my call. And I 100% agree with you about your points about AEW that you had at the beginning of the show. And I also heard the argument that you and Dynamite Dave had on the Wrestling Observer Radio the other night about the tag match on AEW Dynamite. And it feels like to me, as someone who has read Dave's stuff since the 90s and has listened to both of you guys for over 20 years, that ever since WWE has gotten better, basically since late 2022, that Dave has become much, much more of an insufferable jerk. And I listened to that argument, and you made, really solid points. And instead of, him just maybe disagreeing with you and moving on, he just went on and on and on. And I got to give you credit because I could never put up with that. And I feel like Dave has just become more and more unhinged the more WWE gets better and better.
I don't think he's unhinged. I appreciate the call, but I don't want to...
Do me a favor, call him a solo show and say all those same things about Bryan, because I agree with all of them.
Oh, how dare you. How dare you. See, the thing with that argument, I don't want to get into it here because I got into it on the board, is Dave is right that there is a template to booking certain things, okay? But he brings up, what's his name? Yeah, actually, it was a bunch of names. It was Bill Watts, and they would have done it the exact same way.
Bookers, Roy
bookers in the
Shire,
past would have booked
Eddie
it
Graham.
the exact same way.
Okay.
And it's hold on a second, okay? If you have a template that Bill Watts used, okay, the idea that you can just do that for any group of people at any time, okay? If it were that easy, every company would have tons of stars. You just copy a template. But it's not about just the template. It's the right person in the right match at the right time. If you use the same template at the right place at the right time with the right people, it works. If you use that template in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, it doesn't work. There's no template that is universally going to work. And that template didn't work for that tag match, I thought. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
Well, we do these town halls, and it's to inform and make sure everybody's on the same page with our employees in the office and everything else. Nick and I had talked about the Hall of Fame many times, and he would always bring up the fact that when are we going to put you in? And I would say, not now, because no matter how I do it, it looks like I'm putting myself in the Hall of Fame, and I'm just not going to do that. So he would say, well, we have to do it eventually. And I would say, okay, well, if we have to do it eventually, let's wait 3, 4, 5 years, and then we'll talk about it. He said, okay, we had an entirely different plan for Hall of Fame. And we got to the end of the town hall, and Sean's music hit. I thought, honestly, that being lazy, I didn't read the end of the town hall run sheet, and there was more after the Q&A that I just didn't see and was thinking like, oh, Sean's going to come out here and talk about the new show we're doing, LFG, and put that over. So I was confused enough when Sean came out. When Taker came out, it doubled. And then I saw Nick walk to the other side of the room, and that's when that's the first time I realized, like, this is, like, somehow going to affect me. I wasn't sure positively, negatively, or humorously. I wasn't sure what was going to happen until Taker said WrestleMania. I'll be honest, we did it with DX. It was a lot of fun. It's different when it's you. And while I've been a part of all of these, and I've seen some talent see it as the biggest honor, I've seen other talent be like, whatever. But for the most part, our talent all see it as sort of the ultimate pay of respect to you and your career. And I've had the honor of calling a lot of people to tell them we're going to induct you in the Hall of Fame, or be there in person to say to them we're going to induct you into the Hall of Fame, and watch them cry and watch them get emotional because of our passion for what we do. It hit me way harder than I thought it would. So, when we left there, it was a kind of an oddly comical and surreal moment, and then Taker was there, and Sean was there, and we went straight upstairs and went into a meeting and everything else. And as it slowly started to dawn on me, I thought, like, holy shit, like, here we go. The same moment that I watched everybody else have, that emotions all flooding over you of your career, the people you've worked with, what it meant to you, the fans that you've met around the world.
Well, that was a fun Friday. Jiminy Christmas. Hey, you never know what'll happen when you open up those phone lines.
That's true. That's why we open them up.
That is true. Well, listen. Got a lot up on the site today. Had a Bryan and Vinny show last night where reviewed AEW Dynamite NXT. Apparently didn't recognize Lola Vice. I still haven't figured out where that was.
Yeah, really, honestly.
It's like a good example, by the way, of like Lola Vice is recognizable. Okay, if I missed her, it's not on me. Okay, that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Were you able to recognize Jada Parker in those shorts standing next to the announce desk?
I didn't need to because she was just right there the whole time. They actually had a segment on NXT where I was very thankful because they were doing some backstage segment and some blonde rushed onto frame and attacked somebody. Yeah. And they only showed her from behind, so like all you saw was blonde hair. And I was like, who in God's name is that? And to their credit, the announcers immediately identified who it was. And if they hadn't, I would have had no earthly idea who was that rushed in. So
they should actually bring back the parking lot attack and just have it be somebody in a blonde wig, and it could be one of 78 different people that they could have a mystery around.
Yes, yes. So anyway, are we getting a new Observer Live today? Peach Machine asked a half hour ago.
Can we talk about this week? Actually, we're not going to talk.
What week? How many disasters we've had?
Yes.
Yeah, we had a lot.
Yeah, I still got a video of Tuesday's show somebody could put up if they want it.
But the point is, I barreled on through, and here we are. We have ended Fun Friday. We finished out the week on a high note. Everything worked out. And so we look forward to a fun weekend for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com. We'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.